guys? Welcome back to Words of Weather, the show all about weather. So this time I'm not talking about a snowstorm, I'm not talking about even a big rainstorm. I'm actually going to talk about this right here, the transition from winter to spring, because finally, now that we're almost in mid-April, we're finally seeing a transition from winter to spring. And the reason why I put this map up, this is actually all out on social media in the last few weeks, and it totally was true. A few weeks ago, we had the weekend rain, the Monday freak snowstorm, and it was like 60 degrees the next day. So spring is full of surprises, where it can be 60s one day and snow the next day. Really, it's possible. And though I don't think it's likely, I'm not saying we're totally done with snow yet. It's not likely, I'm saying. But hey, I mean, this happened all in 3 days, so you know fast things can change here in the weather world. And this is quickly, how much snow do we get this season? Where is compared to the average snowfall? Well, we got right there, almost 67 or 68 inches, I should say, almost of total snowfall in Hamden. Now, where does that, where's that compared to average? Well, we should be around 35 to 40 inches on average. So that's almost double our average snowfall. So it was a fairly snowy winter. But one thing I want to point out quickly before I go into the next slide is right here. If you look at these numbers, these are all the different storms. And we had a bunch of them. I mean, look at this. December, January, February, March. This was the last freak snow we had the Monday morning. But that was the only 11-inch snowstorm, the only double-digit snowfall. We had no snowstorms over a foot. And to get that much snow with not one storm over a foot of snow, that's pretty impressive to me. I mean, we had the blizzard last year, so we had like 75, 80 inches for a season total. But that one storm had like 38 inches. This is, again, 11 inches was the highest snowfall in one storm. So that's, to me, very impressive that we got a lot of snow with just a bunch of smaller to moderate to basically medium to moderate snowfalls rather than heavy like 2 to 3 foot deals. Also, a lot of these snows in early winter came with very cold temperatures. So we had 20 to 1, even 30 to 1 ratios with the snowfall. So, we can get a little moisture and pile up a lot of snow due to the high snowfall ratios with the colder temperatures. Now, a term everyone has been abusing, using, and talking about all winter, the polar vortex. I'm not going to go way into it, but it happens every winter. This year, it was hyped up by social media and by the media. And yes, pieces of the polar vortex drop down. And what happens is, this is where it normally is throughout the winter. You have the ridge to the north. So again, here's Connecticut, the Northeast, obviously in the United States. And it's usually to the north, but then you get a high pressure that pokes the jet stream, which basically forces it down. And that's, Connecticut's right around here, guys. Remember, right around there. And here's, the eastern Florida and the Carolina coastline. And that's what happened. That's why we saw lots of cold this winter, because pieces of the polar vortex sank southward. Now, this is not epic. This is not something that never happens. It happens yearly, but it just happened more often than not this winter. So that's why we saw long periods of cooler temperatures. And by, in the books, the record books, March was colder than average, but it wasn't like it wasn't the top 10. It didn't even break, that. So we had a colder than average winter, but it was nothing ridiculous in the records. But again, because the jet stream dipped, and that's also how you get your snowstorms to form. And this is how we saw some of the stuff last year. Because you can imagine that dip you saw in the last slide, right around there, get a storm to ride, which remember, this is the jet stream, guys. I keep saying the dip, so it's not totally technical. But here's a jet stream, and you get a storm to ride it, like I showed you in the last slide. And there you go. Here's Connecticut. You got a nice nor'easter coming. Now, we escaped a lot of them in late season, but we also seen plenty of storms. And that's due to the tilt of the jet stream. And this is the 500 millibar vortex map. And again, this shows you more of a tilt, so you have a storm that kind of be riding in this direction, not really affecting Connecticut. But this is more of a winter type pattern. And the spring type pattern, which I show right here, is more flat. See, you don't see any big any ridges, you don't see any troughs, any kind of like loop-de-loops. You see more of a flat west-east flow. And this is a general mild flow or milder air, because you don't have the big, dip in the jet stream to bring in all the cold air from Canada. So this is what a spring flow will most likely look like. And here's an average setup for spring. You have the hot, warm air to the south, the cooler to the north. Connecticut, it's kind of on the cooler side, obviously. And again, the jet stream is a flow of air in the upper atmosphere that moves weather from west to east or from left to right on your screen. I always say that. This will not stay there the whole time. So this will move, and that's why you have to watch out for severe weather, because when you're talking about a jet stream that fluctuates, you have the CP, the continental polar air mass, so, relatively cool and dry air mass, with the MT, the maritime tropical air mass. And basically, I actually put the clicker down for this one. You got the converging, so the air is kind of coming like this. Here's a warm front bringing the warm air, and right on the warm cold front line, what you have there is you have a very unstable atmosphere. You have a lot of lift, a lot of everything, and that's how you get the energy to form, and that's where you get severe weather, tornadoes, damaging winds, flash flooding. And this happens a lot in the spring in the south and southeast because of the fighting. The winter wants to stay, wants to push it down, keep grabbing on it, and the spring wants to ride north. And Connecticut will eventually be on that line where we kind of got to watch severe weather. but I do think it won't be as bad this year because it's a slower process from winter to spring. It's going to take its time, but it's going to happen. Also, I want to quickly point out this right here. I normally don't talk about the water temperature. It's something meteorologists really don't, it's not really involved with the weather for sure. But right here, if you see it, it's about 40 degrees, 39.9 to be exact, out off of the southeast coast of Long Island. But one thing I want to point out, this is going to be a huge deal in the spring because we have, here's New Haven. This is the water temperature chart. It's kind of confusing. I have a bunch of numbers on here, but here's New Haven and Providence. And if you look at the temperatures, here is the average for mid-April. And if you go down, look at this, 51, 50. But current temperatures for this time of year are in the low 40s. So we're well below average, the ocean surface temperatures. And this could impact us when a sea breeze comes because the sea breeze will bring in the onshore flow. Sea breeze is when the air over the land heats up faster than the air over the water. And, New Haven, New London, Brantford could be 10, 12 degrees cooler than it is 5, 10 miles inland. And that's going to affect us a lot this spring. Here again, here's proof. These are the model maps. You got lots of warm 70s, 80s building in the south. They're going to go right northward the next few weeks. But there's also, and again, Connecticut's right here, guys, low 60s. This will be happening a lot in the next few weeks. But there's also a threat that cold air can come in. Will it snow? I don't think so. But some models have been hinting a really strange setup with cold air forcing its way down again from the north, kind of a scary winter setup. I'm not worried about it yet. I really don't think it's going to happen, but that's one thing I got to watch the next few days. And here's a quick summary of my spring forecast. I actually got cut off a little bit there, guys. Sorry, it must have been, I don't know why, because it's actually your general slide. But anyways, so yes, cooler to start, mild to finish. That's kind of the theme as it usually is. It gradually works in. It's not going to be like summer or spring to fall to summer. It's not going to be, cut and dry. It's going to be kind of slow process. Then you have severe weather going to be delayed a few weeks, even in the southeast, the southwest. It's not going to happen in the Midwest as often, as early, because like I said, this whole pattern is going to slow to move from winter to spring, but it's going to happen. And again, cooler temperatures, I think across southern Connecticut, that sea breeze is really going to affect southern Connecticut even throughout the early summer months because it's colder than average. Colder water temperatures mean colder air temperatures that will be forced when the wind comes off the southeast or out of the southeast and affects the coast, or even just the sea breeze in general. More snow, it's possible. Again, I'm not saying it's possible. Let me do that again. Possible. I don't think it's likely, but you can never rule anything out in this pattern. Spring is very changeable, but I don't think it's too likely at this point. So we likely have seen our last snow. Not for sure though. Mild and cold swings. Again, I showed you that map with the cold temperatures coming in. There could be a few days of 30s and 40s for highs, and then some are 60s and 70s. It's spring. That's what happens here in southern New England. And then above average precip, we're going to see a lot of showers in the next few weeks, few months. It's going to be wetter than normal. I think spring in general, and especially April. So we're going to see a few days of sun, a few days of showers. So guys, thanks for watching my spring forecast. This is Words of Weather, and I'll talk to you next time. I'm Zack Duhaime. Enjoy your day.